Welcome back to the State of the African American Economy First Annual Virtual Summit of 2022. We hope you enjoyed our breakout sessions, and now we would like to return to the chairman, Timothy A. Simon.
Thank you very much, Deanna. And boy, breakout sessions were absolutely amazing. I wish I could have sat in all of them at the same time, but I want to give a particular thanks to these brilliant hosts and their panelists, that being Charles Clinton, the owner of Clinton Consulting, and his breakout was on data-driven, and so much of our economy is based on human behavioral economics and the way to analyze, aggregate, and implement data. And he is superb. I highly recommend you contacting him, and we'll be making the information provided in the materials that you'll receive. I also want to thank our very own Dr. Oscar Edwards of HGS Solutions, who is a vendor and contractor with the California African American Chamber and really works as our controller in many ways. And his session was on the art of informal networking, business performance and growth. And again, for the little bit of time that I was there, it was absolutely eye-opening as to how to structure business organizations for greater performance. And last, but clearly not least, the access to capital, debt financing, and equity advocates with my dear friend, Frank Robinson of Union Bank, about to become US Bank, or US Bank is about to become Union Bank. I don't know exactly how that's working out. Keith Spears, another old friend and general partner of Include Ventures. Keith is a recognized name in the capital markets in this country and the globe, not just on the investment management side, but also on the debt financing and equity financing side as well. And Mr. Chris Allen, First Bank Area Man, Chris Allen, let me just say that, First Bank Area Manager and Vice President. All of you are very valuable to us, and thank you. I am honored at this time, and thank you. This has just been an afternoon session, but I know it's a long day. So I and our board of directors appreciate you hanging in there with us, and I guarantee you it's worthwhile. Our next speaker, in terms of the financial markets in this country, the largest economy in the world, and as I've said before, California, the fourth largest economy in the world. We're very honored to have Clothilde Cloey v. Hewlett, Commissioner of the California Department of Financial Protection and Innovation, also known as DFPI. She is the state's financial regulator. Commissioner Hewlett was appointed to the position by Governor Gavin Newsom on September 21st, 2021, and has served 3 California governors, dedicating much of her career to protecting consumers. Serving as Undersecretary of the State and Consumer Affairs Agency and interim director of the Department of General Services. I want to point this out. The Department of General Services of the state of California can be listed as a Fortune 100 company on the New York Stock Exchange. That's how robust our government and our interaction with the economy is. She managed numerous state agencies with a wide range of oversight that included procurement, real estate, and consumer affairs. During California's 2001 energy crisis, she led the team that created the Flex Your Power campaign, one of the most respected energy efficiency and demand response campaigns probably in the world. During the events of the tragic September 11th, 2001 terrorist attack on the trade buildings in New York, she was the California Victims Compensation Board, serving on that board and providing support to survivors and families who lost loved ones during the terrorist attack. Her prior appointment at California DFPI, prior to her appointment, Commissioner Hewlett served as a board member for the Cal Alumni Association and went on to become the second woman and the first person of color to be the executive director of the Cal Alumni Association. I know Deanna Roberts, you just heard from, is a Cal Bear, so I'm sure she's rooting right now. In her role as executive director and chief legal officer, she was responsible for overseeing an organization that serves more than 550,000 alumni of the University of California, Berkeley. She has a stellar career in law enforcement. She served as a prosecutor with the San Francisco District Attorney's Office under the legendary Arlo Smith. She went on to the state board of the state bar, where she served as head of the moral character unit. For those attorneys out here, you know, you have to get past moral character to get admitted into the California bar. She was also a partner at K&L Gates and then Nossaman, advising national and global corporations. And Commissioner Hewlett also orchestrated the supplier and diversity engagement efforts of Levi Stadium, and where she served on the San Francisco 49er Foundation Board, I believe, for 12 years, and the Golden One Arena in Sacramento, where the Sacramento Kings play and are having quite a season, if I should say so myself. So she received her BA in political science from UC Berkeley and her JD from the UC Berkeley School of Law. She's received multiple awards, longer than we have time to go through each, but she has been awarded by the Black Women's Lawyers of Northern California their Outstanding Achievement Award. She received the San Francisco Police Department's Award for Bravery, and she's also the Wiley Manuel Foundation Legal Pioneer Award. I've known Commissioner Hewlett for many years. I remember when she was attending Galileo High School in San Francisco. So it's indeed my honor to present to you today as our keynote speaker, the Honorable Clothilde Hewlett, Commissioner, DFPI.
Hello, everyone. It's great to join you at the African American Chamber of Commerce State of the African American Economy Annual Summit. My name is Clothilde Hewlett, known to many of you as Cloey. I am proud to serve as a commissioner of the California Department of Financial Protection and Innovation, DFPI. I was appointed by Governor Newsom last year and unanimously confirmed by the California Senate on August 25th, 2022. As you can imagine, serving as California's top financial regulator of our state, the fourth largest economy in the world, comes with tremendous responsibility. As a Black woman, I have strived at every step of my career to promote equity and inclusion. Simply put, there are too few people of color in the highest levels of corporate America and government. I relish the opportunity of raising the importance of diversity, equity, and inclusion in everything I do, whether I'm meeting with CEOs of Fortune 500s or members of Congress. And while my experience as a trailblazer throughout my career has taught me valuable lessons about success, it has been my experience growing up in poverty that has an impact on every decision I make, because I know what it feels like to be hungry and homeless. I know what it feels like to be unheard in the midst of incredible suffering. The experience of poverty has deeply shaped me and anchored me to the reality of what so many within our communities have experienced, especially during this pandemic. I am concerned, like so many, that the gap between the haves and the have-nots has widened. We've seen this with the pandemic. Those within our communities who were hit the hardest were already struggling to make ends meet. I believe that access, innovation, and strong consumer protections can help change the economic and financial realities of those who need it the most. I came to DFPI because I wanted to create systemic change for Californians in all of our communities, including those who have been provided subpar financial services or who have been preyed upon by unscrupulous financial companies. DFPI is focused on how our work can help stimulate the economy, as well as how responsible innovation and strong enforcement can work to curb business practices that hurt the most vulnerable among us. As one of the richest states and one of the largest economies in the world, we must do everything we can to provide genuine opportunities to create generational wealth. We must help those who are struggling to make payments on their mortgage, pay down their student debt, or just stay afloat during one of the most tumultuous times in recent history. I'm excited to lead our efforts to encourage safe, responsible, and innovative growth as well as the work required to identify the areas where consumers need additional protection. We will continue our bold efforts to make the department, DFPI, a national model for responsible innovation and consumer protection. Under my leadership, the department's goals are the following: implementation of the California Consumer Financial Protection Law, specifically providing guidance to companies on responding to complaints, strengthening our engagement with innovators through the Office of Financial Technology Innovation, and establishing registration procedures. Implementation of the governor's crypto asset executive order to create policies that strengthen consumer protection while promoting responsible innovation on crypto assets that are equitable, inclusive, and consider environmental impact. Reviewing the department's regulatory process for high-risk securities. Increasing California's awareness of DFPI's work to better serve consumers. Enabling generational wealth building for underserved and historically excluded communities. And last but definitely not least, addressing unconscious bias and supporting equity and inclusion across DFPI. Now let's get right to the state of the Black economy. As reported by the United States Black Chamber of Commerce, COVID-19 disproportionately affected the Black community. As a result of the pandemic, Black businesses closed at an alarming rate. According to the House Small Business Committee, Black business ownership dropped 41% between February and March of 2020. The committee found that Black business owners were less equipped to deal with pandemic shutdown mandates and protocols as compared to white-owned businesses. From May 2020 to November 2021, Black employment fell from 16.7% to 6.7%. The recent hike in interest rates to combat high inflation will certainly impact Black businesses. The resilience of the labor market is a silver lining and may help the overall economy to see a soft landing rather than a sharp recession. Resilience is a key word. The U.S. Black Chamber reports that 72% of surveyed Black businesses have reopened at least once, 18% reopened twice, and 10% opened 3 times. Black businesses are resilient, but they still could use some help. As the U.S. Black Chamber puts it, and I quote, "Now is the time to address falling levels of trust between Black businesses and government resource partners. Help Black firms innovate to secure capital and to improve their banking relationships." I consider DFPI as one of those partners and a key player in advancing those goals. I know I'm preaching to the choir, for you understand very well the importance of a vital, growing Black economy. You know that our success contributes to the overall health and vigor of the general economy. The growth and success of Black business ownership helps address historical inequities, promotes the creation of generational Black wealth, bridging the racial wealth gap between Black and white families. Addressing the generational wealth gap is a top priority for me. It fits perfectly into my overall vision for the DFPI. Home ownership is a key element of personal and generational wealth. Improving home ownership rates in the Black community is a vital concern. Banks and lenders have stepped up to promote opportunities and accessibility for mortgage financing, but we still have a very, very long way to go. Now let me turn to our work on financial services that are used disproportionately by communities of color. As you may be aware, the department is a longtime regulator of payday lending in California, and we are actively engaged in oversight of a new alternative to that called earned wage access, or wage-based advances, where employers collect earnings between scheduled paydays, usually for a fee. Oversight of these type of programs are key to aiding consumers in managing their personal finances and avoiding so-called debt traps. A new authority we have under the law is the regulation of debt collections in the state. We are implementing new licensing and oversight systems for debt collectors to help prevent abuses by such firms in approaching the most vulnerable in our communities. Even more important for economic development in and the protection of our underserved communities is the promotion of financial literacy. We have been given additional resources in our education and outreach operations to help meet these goals. We are focusing on historically underserved and disadvantaged communities. With our outreach efforts, we have been awarding grant funding to community-based organizations that share our goals. Importantly, outreach efforts also include championing DFPI's Student Loan Borrower Assistance Campaign. Our student loan borrowers are facing tremendous challenges to pay back their loans. We all know they are disproportionately low income and people of color. Education can set you free and change the destiny of your family, your community, this state, and the entire nation. But only if we give our next generation the chance to be all they can be and break the cycle of poverty. Now I'd like to spend just a couple more minutes to give an update on a very hot topic, crypto policy. We recently experienced a meltdown of the crypto market. In just 1 week, the crypto platform FTX went from being one of the largest cryptocurrency exchanges worldwide to filing for bankruptcy. And why is that relevant to us? In quoting the November 29, 22 issue of the Atlantic, Black investors neglected by the traditional financial system got into cryptocurrency with gusto. The Black community was one of the most negatively impacted in the crypto crashes. The Black community, who is already facing a significant wealth gap. I want you to know the DFPI has opened multiple investigations into crypto asset companies related to the crisis. The DFPI will use its existing authority over crypto asset financial products and services to publish consumer protection principles and provide guidance to companies. We will continue to work very closely with the governor's office, as well as other state and federal agencies, venture capitalists, banks, credit unions, consumer advocacy groups, underserved communities, and other stakeholders to formulate reasonable and responsible guidelines and regulations for this fast-growing industry. We will serve as a resource for facts and truth for consumers amid the current crypto crisis. We will answer the top real questions that consumers have posed on social media. We will ensure California consumers are aware of government resources to access in future crises. We need your help, though, in communicating. Beware of scams. Scammers are opportunists. A scam is a scam. A Ponzi scheme is a Ponzi scheme. Whether it's in the inner cities of California or on the blockchain, we must teach our most vulnerable communities that the crypto asset investments are like riding a roller coaster with increased risk and fraught with a lot of scams and fraud in some cases. We must teach our most vulnerable Californians that scammers are nothing but wolves in sheep's clothing. Now, not all crypto asset companies are scams, but we must teach our people to recognize the bad ones and not respond to appeals for personal information from people they don't know. We have to communicate. Crypto lacks the protections people associate with banking. If your crypto exchange goes out of business right now, no government agency can restore your losses. Your outcome may depend on the bankruptcy process, which may or may not happen in a U.S. court. And even if it is in a US court, under American bankruptcy rules, you still may not get your money back. We must teach our people, in many instances, you may not recoup your losses, but you can help protect others by filing a complaint with DFPI, by immediately reporting frauds and scams to law enforcement. Make no mistake, the DFPI is investigating several of the players, and we will go to the end of the earth to hold those accountable for preying upon our people. But we also want, at the same time, to educate our most vulnerable while pursuing enforcement. It is our goal to serve as a model for the nation in crypto asset regulation and innovation. In light of the recent catastrophic failures of crypto asset platforms, considerate and responsible regulation of the crypto industry is obviously even more important and urgent. The DFPI will continue to develop such oversight. In conclusion, the DFPI will continue to faithfully implement current law and other statewide mandates and work towards encouraging safe and innovative industry growth while ensuring our consumers are protected. The DFPI will continue assisting consumers with crypto complaints, take enforcement action where needed, and develop and issue guidance to financial institutions seeking to engage in crypto activities. Our consumer services and enforcement teams will continue to work with and alongside consumers to help address complaints and to ensure those who prey upon our most vulnerable are held accountable. We will continue to address the challenges of accessible home ownership and wealth creation. In the coming year, as the DFPI Commissioner, I look forward to meeting with you, listening, learning, and partnering with you. Together, I believe we can work towards building a strong and resilient economy for all of our people in all of our communities. Thank you for inviting me to speak to you about the opportunities we have in a partnership with DFPI towards building a Black economy. Thank you.
Welcome to our virtual stage. Next will be Ahmad Holmes, the COO of the CAACC.
Thank you. I'm giving the recap from our breakout sessions, and to coincide with the chairman mentioned earlier, great sessions, incredible information. I will go through each one of them, a little bit of a breakdown, but the theme that resounded across all of them was education, relationships, and the process. So when you start with access to capital, Mr. Allen, Mr. Spears, Mr. Robinson specifically talked about having great relationships and having great ideas when you start your business, that they have to be defensible, making sure that when you decide to put a business together, that is something that is more of a Teflon, can be to deflect any ideas of why it is or is not a good idea, why it's a good business, make sure it's defensible, and what do you want to see from it? You know, that's one thing that a lot of us have ideas, but we don't understand the bigger picture of what our takeaways and what we want to get from them. Make sure you manage the cycles of your business and understand the business culture as what it is. And then, of course, the key thing is understanding the sector or what you're trying to put your business in and the longevity of that industry that you're working with. When I move over to Mr. Charles Clinton's data-driven, the one thing that he resounded and said that I took away from that was, the more you know, the more the better decisions you can make. Understanding what you're doing and understanding how you gather your data to make sure you make the best business decision is key. Understanding the process, make sure you're informed on it and the various types of data that they have, the various types of sources of data that they have, but more importantly, understand what it is. It felt like I was in a college professor class and I loved every minute of it. And then our very own Mr. Oscar did the art of networking. The key from that was having a personal relationship. When I think of the personal relationship and I think of what he mentioned, Specifically, he was saying is how to advance your business, having someone who's been successful in what you're trying to accomplish, and then being able to utilize them as a resource and help them move you forward. So in totality, I think these were very, very good overall breakout sessions. And as we discussed yesterday, as well as today, these sessions will be available online. We will stream them and send you the documentation from each group that had PowerPoints and or takeaways to give away. With that, I will bring up Mr. Simon, the chairman, to close us and the end of our session.
Everybody calls me Mr. Simon. It makes me feel very, very old, but let me thank the Honorable Clothilde Hewlett for a very instructive and powerful speech as our chief regulator, our chief financial regulator. And we know how important that access to capital is for us and how fintech and other new emerging technologies are actually creating avenues that have historically not been effectively achieved in many cases by our more traditional brick and mortar banks. But there's also the risk associated therewith. So whether it's fintech or cryptocurrency or other areas. So I again want to thank Commissioner Hewlett. I want to thank all of you for participating with us today. And we look forward to engaging you in the future. If I could take a moment, I would like to thank our board of directors of the California African American Chamber of Commerce and the California African American Action Fund. Ms. Patricia Watts, Bernard Johnson, Joseph Chow, Sharon Evans, James McGee, Janelle Namovi, Mayor Deborah Robertson, Dale St. Clair, and of the California African American Action Fund, Michael Keeley. All of these extraordinarily skilled and successful business people make this day possible. I'd also like to take a moment to put our sponsors on the screen because they make this possible for us financially. That's Sempra, Southern California Edison, Pacific Gas and Electric Company, and Meta, each of whom have been with us through thick and thin, and I want to thank them for their support. I also want to extend a sense of gratitude to former Mayor Willie Lewis Brown Jr., Mayor and Speaker, for his opening statements. You will receive a recap of this event. You will receive the deliverables and takeaways that we, as your California African American Chamber, will carry out to ensure that the information is vital to strengthen our financial health here in California. I want to take a moment and thank Deanna Roberts of DR Roberts Events and Oscar Edwards and the other vendors and consultants who worked with us in creating this very successful event. Please work with us in the future. So with that being said, I wish all of you, on behalf of the Board of Directors of the California African American Chamber of Commerce and the California African American Action Fund, I wish you the happy holidays that you deserve. And we want to be with you as we build Black business excellence in the state of California. God bless you. Happy holidays. This ends our program. Thank you very much.